काम करि सरिछन एंड जो हमें देखुचे इंडिया रो जो डिफेंस स्ट्रेटेजिक पोजीशन पई ह्यूज एक्सपीरियंस सर एक्सपर्टीज डिफरेंट हमर बोर्ड रे भी सर ऑलरेडी बसी सारी जमती आम कहले एनडीए सीडीएस जो एग्जाम पाई तो आम जो एक्सपर्ट सर मान जो एक्सपीरियंस एंड अलॉन्ग विथ दिस also Malay sir also joined online and Malay sir also last time भी directly आसीथिले interaction करिथिले Malay sir joined as Indian foreign service and different country as a ambassador हिसाब रे already sir join करि सारिछन्ती सो आज जो आम डिस्कशन करबा रिलेटेड टू हमर सिविल सर्विस प्रिपरेशन आ तापरे केमती कोन प्रिपेयर करिया कथा सर एक्सपीरियंस जर्नी तापरे आम डिस्कशन करबा सो आई एम रियली थैंकफुल टू यू सर फॉर कीपिंग आवर रिक्वेस्ट एंड कमिंग टू द प्लेटफॉर्म फॉर एड्रेसिंग द स्टूडेंट्स ओके सर
How will the, is it a there's no microphone? No? No microphone. But they will be able to hear me?
yes.
Should I start?
Sir.
Huh?
Like a stand of the sit, sir?
Pardon? No, pardon. No, if you want me to stand, I can stand, no problem. What? Am I visible? Am I audible or not? Very good. Well, good morning. Almost good afternoon, you can say. Thank you very much, Mr. Director Deepak Raut, for inviting me to this class. I also thank Professor S.N. Mishra for introducing me to Mr. Deepak Raut. I'd also thank Major General Atanu Patnaik for having expressed his interest to be in this institution to teach young students having aspirations to join civil service. Am I audible? Are you sure? Backbench?
Yes, very much.
Well, I was quite impressed that institution has been established to support youngsters to join civil service. Mr. Deepak Raut was not a civil servant, but he worked in the Tatas and TCS. He is from IIT. Well, but he chose to support young students to join civil service. That showed that people still continue to have interest in civil service. I am actually a man from the old Stone Age. I was born when the Second World War was going on. I still remember the end of the Second World War. I also remember the independence of India and assassination of Mahatma Gandhi. So you can imagine the span of time I've covered in this world. And I joined civil service in 1966. I think you were certainly not born. Your parents were also not born. Maybe your grandparents were there. Yes, must have been grandparents were there.
I was 4-year-old.
Professor S.N. Mishra was from Indian Defense Accounts Before that, he was in Indian Economic Service. He had joined International Monetary Fund. He held high positions and then took voluntary retirement to be a professor. And he was the dean of the Faculty of Law and Economics in Kitts University. I regret very much that I came to know him quite late in my life. Major General Patnaik was from the Indian Army. But Indian Army, in the air wing of Indian Army, which was created at the same time when I was in the government of India. He was a helicopter pilot. Although he was in defense services, there is one commonality between he and I, not because he is Patnaik, I'm also Patnaik. No, that is not the commonality. He writes Patnaik, P-A-T-N-A-I-K. I write Patnaik, P-A-T-T-A-N-A-Y-A-K. Commonality that he has spent a lot of time in air transport, defense. I have also spent a lot of time in air transport. Commonality between Professor Mishra and myself is that both civil service. And he studied almost the same college and universities as I studied. I also know many of his colleagues and also some of his distinguished relatives also. That is the commonality. I thought of making this introduction so that I create an atmosphere of informality. I have not come here to give a lecture. If you want, I can give a lecture. No, it's just to make you understand. When I joined civil service, the world was different. But today the world is different. 66 and 2024. How many years have passed? More than half a century. More than half a century is a big time period. I just wish to tell you, when I joined civil service and posted as sub-collector of Sonpur, which is now called Subarnapur, it was a subdivision in Bolangir district. Is there anybody from Bolangir district here? No. You're from Bolangir district? No. So it's now called Subarnapur. It was a part of Bolangir district. If I have to speak to my collector, sorry. If I had to speak to my collector, district collector, you know what was the mode of? Is magnetic telephone. Has anybody seen magnetic telephone? No. I think Professor Mishra and Major General must have seen because they are in defense area. But they were also outdated, not indated at the time when the magnetic telephone was in use. It's like you must have seen in the movies. Gir, 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 gir. Hello? That's how we used to talk. I used to talk to collector. Believe me, I was in Sonpur, cut off. we were contacting, if I have to contact Sildar, I used to use pigeon service. The pigeon will take breakfast, I mean, whatever breakfast pigeon will take, on my side and fly with a message tied to his leg. Deliver the message there, come back with the message, tomorrow. Believe me, this is what I have experienced myself. Today, same Did Maharaj Puri probably contacted by internet, by Skype, by WhatsApp. So see that the changes which I have seen myself. Okay. So I thought of sharing this experience with you people. So you know, when you hear from me, so perhaps you'll be talking to an antiquated man from the old Stone Age. May not be even from New Stone Age. But fact is that I'm still talking, that I'm still alive. I'm alive, physically, of course, and also mentally. I'm trying to keep myself up to date, thanks to Sir Mishra and Major General Patnaik, and people like Deepak Raut. They keep me active mentally.
Malay is also there.
Pardon?
Malay is also
Oh, yes, Malay is there. Yeah, Malay.
Yes, sir. I am there.
Yes, excellent. Malay, I know him. When he was second secretary of Indian Embassy in France and Paris. You were young. Since then, from the 80s, I think he's, I saw him in 82. He's 79 batch, IFS officer. I know him since then. I have followed his career. And he's a brilliant diplomat, having served in many places, starting with Senegal, and then, of course, in Mauritius. He was ambassador in Seychelles, and he was in Trinidad and Tobago, in Berlin and Hungary, and he has a doctorate on a subject relates to gypsies. I don't know how many of you know about the gypsies and the connection between gypsies with India. He has made a research. He has got doctorate by University of Budapest. Okay? So, I thought of giving this background as to, since you are familiar with all of them. Deepak, he's from the Tata Consultancy Service, with whom I was associated long back. When I was director, first when I was managing director of EPCO, Industrial Promotion Investment Corporation. When the computers had been introduced, it is Rajiv Gandhi, who was the Prime Minister of India at that time, who thought of making Indians relevant for the 21st century. So he thought that computers should be introduced. So TCS was an early entrepreneur in this field. And later, I was associated with TCS when I was director of International Civil Aviation Organization. When I came in contact with TCS officials in Montreal, and interestingly, they were so proficient that my people wanted that TCS, not Canadian company or American company, should assist ICAO in digitization. Because those executives of TCS were very hardworking. And my staff, mostly Americans, British, Germans, Japanese, they were getting surprised as to how TCS officials would come to ICAO building quite early in the morning, 8 o'clock, and leave at 8 o'clock at night with a short break of lunch. Hard-working Indians. Okay. I thought this background I should also tell. Mind you, you're all aspirants of joining civil service. As I told you, when I joined civil service, that there were not so much of opportunities of getting a high-level good employment. Today, there is competition. Apart from civil service, bank, insurance companies, public sector undertakings, and also private sector corporations offering good salary, respect in the society. Indian Administrative Service and Defense Account Service at that point of time was considered to be elite service. Also, services in the armed forces, elite service. Today, a corporate executive in Tata's is also considered an elite in society. Yes or no? Yes? Let's be very frank about it. But you have chosen to aspire from two things, I must tell you. Remember, first is failure is the pillar of success. Never get disheartened. Never get disheartened. First, you see, I will quote some words from Michael Phelps. There will be obstacles. There will be doubters. There will be mistakes. But with hard work, there are no limits. You understand?
Who was Michael Phelps? Multiple gold medalist.
Swimmer.
Swimmer. The greatest swimmer.
So these words you shouldn't forget. These words are good for him, good for you, good for me. I'm 82. Even at age 82, I'm still trying to keep myself fit. I'm trying to talk to you people. My ambition may not be to become a member of Indian Administrative Service or Defense Service or Armed Forces, because that age limit is over. But if the age limit would have been raised to 100, I would have also tried. You understand? You never know. Human evolution is taking place. When India became independent, you know what was the average age? 28. Average life age was 28. Today, anybody? Any hazard a guess?
60.
Yes, above 60 plus. In how many years? 75 years. Who knows? In 1,000 years, age limit may go to 100. Huh? Can you say? Of course. For 1,000 years, I will not be alive. Hopefully. No. So what I'm trying to say, failure should not deter you. Hard work will help you. Second thing, I'll also quote you. This is, I don't know how many of you have heard of him. Have you heard of Theodore Roosevelt? Yeah. Student of political science? No, no, how do you know? Theodore Roosevelt. Who was he? Pardon? US President, not Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt. I want to make a distinction. Roosevelt the Great is known for Second World War, known for New Deal. He resurrected the economy of United States. Student of economics must have heard. Professor knows very well about the subject. He will tell you sometime about the importance of New Deal. And his predecessor was Theodore Roosevelt, president, in the early 20th century. His famous statement, believe you can, and you are halfway there. You are halfway through. This is what I would tell you. Don't be afraid of failure. Have confidence that you'll be able to achieve it. Okay? That should be your motto. First. An octogenarian is saying this so, based on my sheer experience in life. Okay? Civil service. I actually did not know what to speak when Deepak asked me to speak. I thought that I should tell you what is civil service, how it originated, how it developed, what is its future. I would like to give a lecture on it. And then my intention was to, assuming that that may interest you, about how to conduct yourself in a personality test. So these are the two items in the agenda of mine for which I came. And I had told him that anybody who speaks for more than 40 minutes will be a boring person. A class which exceeds more than 40 minutes will not receive the attention of the students. Trust me. By the way, before I joined civil service, I was a lecturer. I was teaching political science in Bhubaneswar, in BJB College. Anybody from BJB College? No. Oh, good. There is somebody there also. Yeah. And so I know very well. Next. I have the lecture in the screen you can see. Okay? You can see my lecture notes. Lecture. I don't have to speak. A copy of which will be available to them.
Yes.
Yes. In the 21st century, things are so easy. During my time, I would have heard the lecturer, taken down the notes, naturally. Here, within half a second, the whole lecture is now produced before the screen, and it will be in your computers and mobile, so you can read them at leisure if you're interested to know. I'll just summarize it. In the first place, Indian civil service that you see today has been preceded by civil services in other parts of the world. From the ancient times, civil service existed. At the time, China. Kautilya, have you heard the name of Kautilya? Chanakya, Arthashastra. It contains a chapter on civil service. Then, the difference between the two, the civil service that existed during the time of Mauryas and during the early Chinese emperors. The emperors of China conducted competitive examination to recruit civil servants. I have been to China, and there I have also learned how exactly the civil service examinations were being conducted almost 3,000 years ago. How hard-working the Chinese were in sitting in the examination. But making fast forward, it was during the time of the British that India got the civil service. Percival Spear, a professor of history, who taught in St. Stephen's College in Delhi, in his book has said one of the greatest gifts of British to India was the civil service. And Indian civil service, the predecessor of Indian administrative service, was probably the unique civil service of the modern times. In the world. In the world. Are you able to hear? Last bench? Sure. And other countries in Europe, mostly Germany, under the Prussian rule, introduced, and Bismarck, if you have heard his name, students of history, have you heard the name of Bismarck? Huh? Yes? Have you heard? Good, very good. Bismarck. He is the one who united Germany. Germany consists of a number of principalities. He united them. Just like Sardar Patel in India united the princely states. That is why he is also often referred to as Bismarck of India. Okay? Prussian civil service was a very efficient civil service. And for your information, if you are students of political science, how many of our students of political science? Can you raise your hand? Oh, very good. Very small number. How many students of history? No? Oh, one. Students of physics? Two. Oh, very, and the students of chemistry? Good. Engineering? Oh, good. Medical profession? Oh, really? Good. And animal husbandry? No? Agriculture? commerce, third. So it is a mix of various, third, very good. Good. So I thought of giving reference to the civil service in historical terms. And then Indian administrative service came quite late, after India's independence. And recruitment to civil service, through which you will go through, came not necessarily through competitive methods to start with. In Britain, only those who belonged to Harrow or Cambridge or Oxford were being handpicked and brought, but unused. But what happened in 19th century, there was a war in Europe, the Crimean War. Have you heard of it? Crimean War. The Crimean War, in one of the battles, the British lost because the civil service could not provide good infrastructure support to defense services. Both Professor S.N. Mr. who was in civil defense and Major General Patnaik will bear me out. Civil assistance to defense is fundamental. Am I correct? Otherwise, no war can be fought. Believe me. Because those civil servants who supported the armed forces were not competent, but recruited based on patronage. You understand patronage? So they were not competent. Hence came the Public Service Commission, an independent body, independent of the government, legislature, and judiciary, so that they will recruit only competent people. It started in Britain under the Government of India Act of 1919, Government of India Act of 1935, and subsequently Constitution of India. Whether you are students of political science or students of law or economy, you must understand the constitutional history of India. Am I not correct, Professor? Absolutely. Very important. I'm not going to give a lecture on that, but you must understand. At some stage, I'd like to give a lecture on the constitutional history of India. It will be for your general knowledge. Okay? You understood so far? Then the code, then civil service has a code of conduct. Civil service has its own career path. Okay? The civil service reforms is taking place. Civil service is subject to technological change. You see, I had introduced internet in the first time in the United Nations system way back in 1994. United Nations, or for that matter governments, in the early 90s did not have internet. Internet was confined to defense in America. Computers were used for defense purposes. Today, computer is there on a telephone. Am I not correct? But those days, one computer meant the whole of the... You know that very well. And the transition to the desktop, to the laptop, and to the... All these things have taken place in the last 25 years. 25 years. Before my own eyes. So technology has to be adapted by government. Civil servants must be aware of it. Believe me, when internet I wanted to introduce, not because I knew anything about it. I knew computers are there, computers were being used, but once civil servant who worked with me in the International Civil Aviation Organization, he was from Yugoslavia, which is now broken up. It's Serbia. He was a Serbian. Because of the fact India and Yugoslavia were good, friendly countries from the time of Jawaharlal Nehru, Marshal Tito, Nkrumah, Nasser, they're the people of old time. So he came to me. He said, Mr. Director, I want to introduce internet in ICAO. I said, what's the problem? Now, all the people who are in charge of the technical department are against it. Can you imagine? Germans, the Belgians, the French and English, they're all against it. Oh, internet. But I felt it's an interesting thing. Why not? I spoke to my Secretary General. He was a Swiss. And he said, it's a very good idea. Why not we do it? We introduced it. My president, he was a traditional person. He was not very happy with it. He said, why are you doing it? But I convinced him, let us try. Then, after we introduced in ICAO, other UN agencies started introducing it. Slowly, slowly, slowly. There has been revolution, multiple revolutions in technology. As a result, IT is there everywhere. Without IT, one even can't breathe. Am I correct or not? So, civil service has advanced. This is a very important development for civil servants. Attune themselves into technology, digitization. This is what has happened to civil service today. And future, whether the civil service will be the same or not, there's a big question mark. Big question mark. There is a demand for what do you call contractualization, for giving contract to other bodies to do a lot of work which government was doing. There is demand also for gig workers. You know what are gig workers? Yes. The trends have changed. Whether that trend will continue or reverse, very difficult to forecast. I personally feel that you can't do away with the civil service as it exists, and you can't also do away with contractualization. Both will go for some time. Remember, there is always a social revolution almost every 500 years. And after every 500 years, there is big change. So what will happen after 500 years? One has to watch. I don't know whether any one of us will be there after 500 years. But this is what I thought I must mention to you. In my lecture, I have also made an observation of that. You read it. Okay? I did not want to give a lecture directly. You can read it, all these things. Next. as regards preparation, because you are all interested in preparation. What papers you have chosen is your choice, depending upon your competence, your ability. As I told you, in one lecture, in half an hour or a few minutes out of which I can devote to that area, I can't tell you, except to read out two things which I read out. Hard work and failure should not deter you. Because today, you have multiple chances, am I not correct, to sit in the examination. During our time, chances. If you don't say, and within a particular time frame, if you fail, finished. You have multiple chances. That does not mean by any chance you should relax. No. No. Hard work. Burning midnight oil, as they say in English. Today, whether midnight oil is being burnt or not, I can't say. But light can be burnt. The light can be switched on. Hard work. Nobody has succeeded in life without hard work. In any field. I will quote another sentence from Einstein. Remember, you know who is Einstein? I don't have to tell you. He said, I'm not a genius. No. All that I have done to spend more time on the work. More time. So therefore, you should not think that, this is his background, he is necessarily more brilliant. No. Yes, he may have some advantage over others. I've seen people who come from very humble background and exceeded others coming from better so-called better background. When I was chairman Public Service Commission, I read in the newspaper, one of the persons who got into this Odisha Administrative Service was the son of a vegetable vendor in near Jajpur. There are such things galore. Examples are galore. And there was a time when women were not entering civil service. Today, women are on the top. Excellent. I see so many girls over here, which is prospects. That doesn't mean, boys, don't get discouraged. No. You are also equally good. But we have seen how the women have done very well in the at least last 40 years, I've been saying. Consistently doing better and better and better. Okay. Now, I have written a book on human resource management. Some 22 years ago, when I just finished as the chairman Public Service Commission. One of the chapters deals with personality test. What is personality test? What is interview? What is viva voce? They are all different meanings. They are not the same. Personality test is much more comprehensive, and it is that the person who is assessing you try to see your traits, your leadership quality, your patience, your ability to analyze, ability to have quick response to a situation is totally different. I do not want to, I'm going to give this book to Deepak Raut. He can take a photocopy of that chapter. You need not read the whole thing. It is, and pass it on to them, let them read at the leisure. And by the way, this was written 20 years ago. So you may find that outdated. No, I mean, you may think so, outdated. But you will see much that I had learned in my school days still relevant till today. Professor, tell me, General. Well, technology has come in. There are some fundamentals haven't changed much in the world. So you read it. And I'm sure when there will be personality test will be done here in your office room. And, I'm sure. And to one such place, such occasion you call me, I'll be sitting there and watching how it has been conducted, how students are performing, and I'll try to assist you. Okay. I think I have spoken for how long now? More than 40 minutes. Oh, bad. 40 minutes the limit. Thank you very much.
Bala, can you speak a few lines also?
You can speak. Okay. You can hear me? Okay, thank you. At the outset, I would like to thank Deepak for getting you guys together and getting us together. It's great to hear Vivek Babu speaking to you all. He's a legend of his times. Great intellectual, tremendous experience in India and abroad, having worked in the ICAO and international organizations, having traveled all over the world. He brings with him a great amount of wisdom and understanding of how the world functions. Some of what he said may look, as he said, to be very vintage and ancient, but a lot of ancient wisdom actually works, as you would have realized. That's why we always refer back to our Upanishads and our Gita, which date back at least 2 millennia, right? He has introduced the subject of how administrators must adapt all the time. We must adapt technology, we must adapt the operative environment and work and all. And that, of course, all that is applicable once you get selected. So the first obstacle is now between now and your selection is the interview. So I'm going to, say a few things about this interview process. I was 16-year-old when I went for interview. 16, I just finished my 10th board that time. 10 plus 2 was just introduced in as part of the CBSE syllabus. And I had finished 10th and not done the 11th exam. And I went for service selection board at Bangalore in 79. So I'm also ancient from that point of view. And as a 16-year-old traveling outside the state, and unlike your 15 minutes, which you will do here, it is a 4 days affair. You have personality test, you have psychology test, you have group discussions, you have group tasks, and all the time these board people are observing you. And then a very elaborate interview by the board, which has 5 members, and it goes on for at least half an hour to 45 minutes. So that was the process. I mean, did I prepare? Well, throughout my school, and I kept reading newspapers, kept reading magazines. We didn't have internet and all this stuff. But I kept reading newspapers and magazines, and anybody who has come for interview with me here, I keep advising. Whatever few days you have not read, please read. Because it gives you a thread. There is a story which builds up and gets reported over time, and you are able to better understand it if you read the same thing, means developments on that field over a few days. And sometimes if you get a chance to discuss with somebody else. So I did that, and my first interview, I got through, got selected for NDA. And then at the end of the tunnel, after 40 years in the armed forces, I came out. But what always stayed in my mind was, I went out as a formally I'm educated 11th pass. You can compare me with another politician who was deputy chief minister in our neighboring state in Bihar, who was 9th pass. So I'm 11th pass. So I always thought, what will I tell my grandchildren? Incidentally, we have a granddaughter who is about 2-year-old. So along the way, I got opportunity, educated myself. I in National Defense Academy, I'm a JNU graduate. I did my master's in international relations in under Madras University. 95, I did my MPhil in 2007 from Devi Ahilya University, researching on the energy potential of Africa and what are the opportunities for India. Those days, this oil in Nigeria had not been discovered. So I'm talking about, now it is very easy to say what all is there in Africa in terms of oil and other natural resources. And 10 years later, 2017, I did my PhD in psychology, dealing with combat stress management in international conflict missions, precisely. So I can handle my grandchildren better. Okay. You guys are lucky, you are in Odisha. Those of you will get qualified and join the administrative service, you can write against your name, Odisha Administrative Service, OS. Imagine if you are in Gujarat. What will you write? Anybody? Yeah? Gujarat Administrative Service. GAS. What does they stand for? Gas. Okay. So you guys are lucky. Odisha is a very peaceful state. You get a very peaceful environment to study. There is not much of a societal violence and discord. And whatever you witness is subterranean. It doesn't very badly affect you. Coming to the interview as such, as I said, I faced it in 79. But throughout my service, there have been any number of occasions where we had to do interviews of candidates for service for various posts, various positions in our academic institutions and within the army itself. So that experience I had picked up. But fundamentally, when my elder daughter was going for her first job interview after doing her master's, while doing her master's MBA, and I was really, kind of coaching her for her interview. She was quite nervous, obviously, the first interview. So I said, let's take an approach that, when you face the interview, the board will ask you questions and you have to respond. I said, there is a way you can manipulate this system and lead the board to ask you questions that you want to answer. It's a little bit of manipulation that is required. And I said, she said, how can you do it? They will ask anything they want. I said, normally what happens in a conversation, when you meet somebody in a conversation, if you say something, there is bound to be some kind of curiosity in the other person, and he is likely to ask something on, related to what you just said, normally as a response. So I said, in every interview, normally, to settle down the candidate in the chair, they ask, say something about yourself. Okay. So I said, you will typically say what is already in the paper. your application form in terms of your education background, your schools you have studied, your academic achievement, your hobbies, all that is stated in your paper. So what you are doing, you're just repeating it. So it doesn't interest them. So they have seen before you came through. I said, you must tell them something about which you want to talk. And they said, I was deployed in the war zone, what is now a war zone, Lebanon. I was the chief humanitarian officer of the UN mission there in 2001, 2002. And my job was to coordinate all the rebuilding effort that was taking place in south of Litani River. Rebuilding community centers, schools, equipping hospitals, providing them medicines and life-saving equipment, taking care of the food and energy requirements of the PLO, Palestine Liberation Organization camps. There are 27 of those camps in Lebanon, massive camps. Handling prisoners between the Israeli Defense Forces and Lebanon. I should often travel to Israel and Tel Aviv and Haifa to do this prisoner exchange and collecting some dead bodies which were, prisoners who had died in Israeli prisons and things like that. And during that time, my family also had come and joined me, and I was staying in the city who had just been bombed yesterday, Tyre. If you see the news, you will see Tyre. It's a very ancient city with a lot of Roman era, Alexander's period relics there. So my daughter was also there that time. Both the daughters were there, and my family were living in Tyre. And so I said, in introducing yourself, you say that, yes, you spent time living in Lebanon, and it was very interesting, and this, that, and I'm sure it is going to trigger something. So I waited outside outside the building, for her to come out of the thing. And he said, Papa, next 20 minutes, they were talking about Lebanon, and they didn't ask me anything else. And of course, she was selected for Deloitte as her first job, and then she worked in Adobe. And
for your information, I'm sorry to interrupt. Major General Cuttack has met personally the Hezbollah chief,
Nasrallah. Yeah, that time, Nasrallah had lost his mother, and I went for the prayer meeting, and he wanted somebody, in uniform and with a UN beret to sit next to him and, give him importance. So that's how, the only time I met him. So that was one approach. I thought it's a good one, and sometimes after interviews I say that, you have, what kind of questions they can ask in 15 minutes? About 20 odd questions. You break them down. One is this main subject you studied. The other one is the optional you did. Third one is your hobbies. Fourth one is for working somewhere. Then about that. And the fifth one is the place you belong to. You are from Sundargarh, something related to Sundargarh in terms of its economy, some current major issue, some disturbance, this, that. Some great personality, from somebody has come from Ganjam, so they will ask about the great king who, attended the roundtable conference and was, singularly responsible for formation of our state in 1936, and things like that. And then some current affairs, mostly related to your state, in terms of budget, in terms of some of the governmental programs. You break it down, not more than these 5-6 issues. Odd international affair issues, which like maybe on Ukraine, Gaza, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, that's it. So you break it down on each of the subjects, you'll be able to take out 10 to 15 issues. Okay? And when you give an answer, it's an answer for about 35, 40 seconds or 1 minute. 15 questions, 15 minutes. That is half a page. So in say 40 to 50 pages, you'll have 100 answers. It's covering your entire gamut. And you practice speaking that. So 50 page mein, in your own hand, you have issues. Okay. Brought down to a bite, like when a TV guy asks something, what do you think about so and so, and you say, as a Subhadra Yojana, it's like this, but this is my opinion. So answer complete in itself. So look at the answer and you will see whether the answer is informative and whether have you put in a word about your opinion on the assessment. Okay, like that. Or a prognosis, what you call it. So if you do that, it becomes very simple. And in about 40, 50 pages, and you read it twice daily, in a week's time, you can master the subject. And then, remember, you must manipulate the board. In the first that opening around 1 minute, manipulate the board to your advantage. It should work out. And I would see most of these guys here. It will be good if all of you get through and we celebrate. All the best. All the best to you.
Thank you. All of you have. Go for the get up there.
So one question may I ask?
Yeah.
As our interview is next week,
Hmm.
what can be the last week rituals apart from reading newspaper? Can you?
You practice, as I said, no? You practice speaking. Because what in terms of knowledge, you already have it, they have tested you for that. Now it's a communication skill. It's a talk between a chat, it's not a fireside chat, it's not a chai pe charcha, nobody is going to offer you tea there. But it's a charcha, a discussion. So it is important for you to practice. You'll realize that when you initially speak about anything, there will be confusion. What comes next? Or what should be the opening line? If you speak, and all of you have got mobile, you can record it, then just hear it again, you will understand how to reformulate, reword your response. That's a good way of doing it. Okay?
Would you like to say something?
Yes, yes, yes.
So if someone who doesn't get the opportunity of reading the newspaper, as a person is staying in the kind of surrounding, then what should see?
If you haven't been reading newspaper,
So
oh, you haven't been reading newspaper, you would have read, general knowledge, kunjis and all these things, no? No, it is not. It's not enough because you see, there you are trying to learn by rote, you're trying to mug it up. But a newspaper gives you a thread over a period of time. It gives you, and there will be news, there will be opinion piece, there will be some reactions. This you won't find in these kunjis. That's the disadvantage. So a newspaper, regular habitual newspaper reading, develops your understanding skill. And this understanding skill is important. Why in civil service? Because you face a gamut of problems from people. They will not find them the solution in their books, right? So it diversifies your mind. It opens up your mind. So I'll still encourage you. Doesn't matter what you have done. It's now going forward. Okay, but read newspapers. But there is nothing to get disheartened. If you have got 2 days, it's all right. Jot down a few points and.
Good. Well, I did not know that you're all ready for the interview.
Yes.
Quite a few. Excellent, excellent. Good. I think, Deepak, you should organize what interview before they go.
Sir,
That's what
it's been done, sir. Sir, we have started.
So that Malay is
Was there for
excellent.
a few days.
Yes, that's true. Well, there is, can I say something?
Yeah, please, sir, please.
You see,
You don't require any permission.
no, no. You see, it's like this. First is that practice speaking before a mirror. But you have a mirror at home.
All ladies, of course, would have.
Men folk also go before the
I
mirror.
have bought the biggest mirror for my wife, sir.
You see, have the mirror and talk to the mirror, and the mobile, you can record it also, so that you can self-correct. This is not for only this interview, for future. How to speak, how to perfect speech comes through practice. You see, everybody is not Mark Antony, you see. from birth, he develops the skill of speaking over a period of time. So go before a mirror, speak. So this is one. Yes, you have to read newspapers and also radio and television. You don't spend too much of time. Just you must know how to budget your time. Time management, remember. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
Time management. That's a course by itself, how to manage time. So therefore, you have to budget your time. How many minutes you should spend on newspapers, on television or radio. Put it. And general reading. So therefore, if you keep on reading the whole day in the newspaper, it will be no good. Whatever time you think is the best. And keep interest in reading books. Everything is not available in Google. Google is good, but that's the key. You must have the habit of actually reading. Well, you never know. In the human evolution, someday books may become totally redundant. I don't know. Has anybody read Homo sapiens? Have you read? Homo sapiens, this is written by Harris, huh? Good. So the evolution is taking place. So what will happen in future, I can't say. So, but have the habit of reading books, new books. Malay and Professor Mishra and Major General Patnaik, they keep themselves up to date with books. That is why they're alert and they know what is happening. That is why they write. And they write very serious and substantial things. Believe me. You may not agree with every writer. You have to have liberal mind to appreciate, not to appreciate. But they're right. All of them. I appreciate. And I also keep writing to keep my mind active. Otherwise, I'll become fossilized, you see. And I'm trying my best to keep myself active. I cannot be as mentally active as you people are, or not only physically, but I try. I think we have taken, Professor, you should speak.
Sir, Malay can.
Speak, please. Few lines.
Not able to. Okay. Some issue in.
Friends, it has been a real privilege for all of us to have a man of history in our midst. Wherever I go and wherever I talk to people, whether in Odisha or any other state, I find history to be the first casualty, except for Sasi Tharoor perhaps. But nobody can hold a candle to Mr. Vivek Patnaik, so he is a historian. He's a historian with a great perspective. Like he mentioned when he was his first assignment, how the kabutar ja ja ja, how kabutar was given breakfast and he was sending message. So it's a real privilege to have you here, sir. I don't want to be one up on you or give some lecture, some nuggets of knowledge to all of you. I just want to share two experiences of mine, which may be of some help to some of you. I went for an interview in the month of June, June 5th in 1976. I was 21. My father, who was a teacher, insisted that I must wear a three-piece suit, So I told him, Nana, bahut garam hobo. But he insisted, he told my brother who was an engineer that the best possible suit must be stitched in Cuttack and he must go with a three-piece suit. Okay. I still haven't worn it. It will go with my funeral perhaps, So despite my resistance, I had to wear a three-piece suit. And when I went inside the UPSC room, I suddenly confronted Dr. Manmohan Singh. He was Secretary Economic Affairs and he was the chairperson. So he said, Mr. Mishra, I mean, what is wrong with you? I said, sir, what? He said, why are you wearing a three-piece suit? And he was in a half-sleeve shirt, sir. Absolute half-sleeve shirt. And so he said, what is wrong with you? So I thought that, what is... So I said, no, you please first untie your tie. You take off your coat, take off your this thing, be comfortable. So the first lesson, sir, I thought that I'll tell all of you. Many lady applicants asked me that, do you wear a sari or a salwar kameez? So I asked my wife that, I told them that they should wear a salwar and kameez. He said, no, nonsense. They must wear a sari and look pretty. So anyway, there could be debates between husband and wife, the best sartorial sense in an interview. But I think I must say that, being comfortable in an interview is extremely, extremely important. Don't wear a trouser which is very tight fitting. Don't try to show your thigh muscles there, So, so therefore, I think one should be very comfortable, very comfortable. The second thing, the thought I'll just mention to you is that, Dr. Manmohan Singh asked me that, do you know about the Laffer curve? I fell from the skies, I said, sir, Laffer curve. He said, you don't read papers? So I said, sir, I skipped the paper because I got up at 7 o'clock. This was my first trip to Delhi. So I didn't take a chance. So at 7 o'clock, I started from JNU and I was at the gate of UPSC at 8:30. So he said, gentlemen, never do that. Laffer got Nobel Prize today. And he was the guy who has offered a completely new script to economics called the Laffer curve, which basically means that if the tax rate comes down, your tax collection improves. It was a very fundamental, contribution to economics. So he said, never do that. So the lady who asked me that, she is taking chances with the newspapers, please don't take that, So all these oldies who would be asking you, they would have read the newspaper, and since you asked about 1 week, at least 1 week's newspapers, and just keep a note of what are the important things. I end up with another very important incident in my life, which I have not shared with Sir also. In 1995, I joined Dr. Kalam. He was my scientific advisor. So when I went into his room, I found that he was busy on the computer. I said, so what are you doing? He said, you don't have internet in your room. I said, sir, I have internet, but I have closed my PC, PC was nicely veiled. So I was very, very hesitant about technology. So he said, no, this is the age of internet. You must open your mail. So I had no idea what an email was all about, 95. And I was very, very resistant to technology, sir. I was very, very hesitant. Even today, when I start writing an article, for 1200 words, I take only 6 hours to type. I'd still type with one hand, and I can't approach my wife to type for me because unless she's in a good mood, you can't really dictate to her, In any case, you can't dictate to her. So I take 6 hours. But I paid a price for this, sir. I thought I'll just mention to you, since you mentioned technology. In 2006, I was shortlisted for the post of senior auditor in the UNO. I was shortlisted along with Prasanna Jena, who was from the Odisha Account Service, who is no more, sir. So Prasanna told me that, SN, both of us are flying to New York. Please brush up your knowledge of computer. If they ask you to write a small piece there, and you say that you cannot work on that, I think you're going to miss out. I answered all the questions, but when they asked me to write a small piece in 1200 words or 1000 words, I floundered. Prasanna got the job and I missed it out. So I want to share with all of you friends, technology is not a fad. It is also not a substitute for human ingenuity, or for leadership, people. So that's very, very important. I end with another very interesting anecdote, which I read, sir, a couple of years back. This was about John F. Kennedy, So Barry Goldwater, who was advisor to a number of US presidents, this is a piece he wrote in a magazine called The Imprint. So Goldwater writes that when Kennedy took over as president, so he received a message that the president wants to meet you. So Goldwater writes that it was a cold evening. I went there. I was a very, very young president, full of life, a lot of ideas. He said, I don't remember what kind of tea or coffee I was served, what was the quality of cashew nuts. I don't remember anything. So he had a lot of ideas. I gave him some. I don't remember anything. But I remember just one thing. He said, after I finished with him, he asked me, sir, how have you come? So he said, I'm 82. Like Professor Vivek Pattanaik, I'm 82. And I don't drive. I will hail a taxi and I'll go. So to that, Kennedy said that, please hold on, sir. He said he called for his own cab, his own car, not the presidential car, his personal car. He opened the door. After I got in, he said, thank you, sir. That's all I remember. So you may be very competent civil servants, but please remember, if you lose that essential courtesy, not for people who are working, but people who have so-called faded into limelight, who have become retired, then you are not doing them a favor. You are actually doing a favor to yourself. So be a good human being, be courteous to people who are very elderly and who are a repository of our own value system, tradition, knowledge, and everything that we cherish in our life. So both Malaya, myself, General Pattanaik, we don't get anything from him, except that sometimes he gives me a nice scotch, which I've still not used. So, but his magnanimity is completely of a different type. I have met so many people in my life, so many celebrities, but I must tell you that in terms of history, in terms of knowledge, in terms of courtesy, you are next to none, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So requesting some to his thoughts or few words from Malaya, sir. Sir, are you able to hear us?
Yes, I'm taking.
Malaya, sir, can you please unmute yourself? Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, sir, you are unmute yourself. So, can you please tell few words to our students? Sir.
He's not. No, he's not hearing you. Something else.
How many of you are preparing for the interview? All of you will make it. Don't worry, as sir said, all of you will make it. Be confident.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Am I
Sir.
audible?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Very much.
Okay. Can your students see me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good. I'm at a distance. I'm in Srikhetra. And well, there are a lot of things happening around, and I'm enjoying this wonderful session, which is so well led by our guru, Vivek Patnaik sir, uh, who we revere, who we look up for inspiration, for a life well lived, for a life with experience, with wisdom, with a lot of legacy for young administrators, young diplomats. He is a man of varied talent, of various natures, of varied exposure to various services, to various ecosystems, to various climates, literally. And we have also distinguished speakers this afternoon with Major General Atanu and my very dear friend, Professor Satyanarayan Mishra. I do not want to give my experience as such as a diplomat. That will be for another session, because that may take a long time and I don't want to detain all the others. However, I would like to add a couple of things to what has been said already. Maybe show you a little practical side of life, because many people have said so many things of idealism, that one has to distinguish between the ideal and the real. And I would like to portray something of a, a realistic picture of the bureaucracy today. And you're all going to be future bureaucrats in whatever capacity you are. Well, Max Weber had famously said that a bureaucracy was the steel frame of the government, and he was a great lover of a very strong and efficient bureaucracy. I would start with the flip side of it, rather, by saying that, bureaucrats are also human beings, and they are susceptible to various influences like other human beings. So the first thing you should do as a bureaucrat in any profession is to insulate yourself from the ecosystem in which you are. That is the first thing you should learn, how to insulate yourself. That is very important, because if you have some values in yourself and if you cherish them, these are important to be reflected in your workplace. They should also be reflected in your character, in your integrity, in your personality, in the work you do, in the field you do. So that is very important, that whatever influences are happening in your life, be it through technology, through social media, be it through fake news, be it through controlled media, be it through happenstance, daily occurrences. Just insulate yourself. Be a little careful about what you're doing, what you're saying, because this is not a very proper world. I mean, the world of Vivek Patnaik sir and the worlds where we lived as bureaucrats and officers of the Indian Administrative Service or Foreign Service or Defense Service, or in the army also. All these services have, over a period of time, got to some extent corrupted. I would say to some extent corrupted. And corruption has become endemic in the society today. But I would like to tell you that people of integrity come out of it. People of honesty shine out. They are the role models for the succeeding generations. We take Vivek sir as our role model. Why? Because he's a man of integrity, because he's a man of character, because he's a man of honesty, and we believe in him. That's why we hold him so high. So I would say that whatever happens around you, don't get too affected by it. Stay away. Just stay above the water, as we say, like a lotus. I don't mean it in a political term at all. Like the lotus flower, you stay above the water. And, the waters are muddy, but the lotus has a unique distinction of coming out of the mud and yet shining out to the world. So be like the lotus flower. Though you are in muddy waters, be true to yourself and believe in what you're saying. That is very important. You should believe in what you're saying. You can think critically, you can think rationally, you can think, constructively, because you are going to be the new, forebearers of a new society, of a new Bharat, of a Vikasit Bharat, as it is told. But don't take too much of load on yourself, because the system has become like that. If you get affected by the system, you may be in a, somewhere in an embarrassing situation, not much to your liking. So I would just give you a slight word of caution to what has been already told to you, that stay above, insulate yourself, and then learn from various important sources, as it has been pointed out, that you can be a lifelong learner. What I like most about Vivek sir is that he is still learning. He is still reading books, though at his late age also. Why? Because he wants to keep his intellect high. He wants to keep his mind, alert. So I would say for us, for me, for Professor Mishra, for Major General Atanu, for us, we have taken that learning is a lifelong process. You learn from your experiences, you learn from your workplace, you learn from people around you, how you improve upon yourself, how you develop your personality. So you learn, you be a lifelong learner, you imbibe knowledge from various sources, because this is a knowledge-oriented society, and you have to have the adequate knowledge to prove yourself in this marketplace. You have to, prove your worth. Otherwise, you get easily rejected. There is so much of competition in today's world that if the persons in front of you are not, conscious of your worth, they may not, let you succeed. So you have to prove your worth in every minute of what you are saying, what you are doing, and how you prosper in life. So with these words, I join in felicitating all of you and my dear esteemed friends, and above all, Deepak, Mr. Deepak Raut, who's done this wonderful academy, which gives us a forum to come and share our ideas and be with you. I'll come soon and maybe give you a lecture on foreign policy, what's going on, the wars all over the place. Major Atanu has been very busy writing on these wars and how we have to bring about peace. But I have a different viewpoint. we are calling ourselves Vishwaguru, but we have to prove that. We have to prove that we have that guru mentality in us or not, because I always believe that whatever we say, we have to do that also. And there is a discrepancy between doing and saying, and the world judges us very soon. It is a globalized world, it's a digital world, and in seconds people get to know your worth. So be cautious about what you're doing, stay above and stay afloat. Thank you very much.
Okay. So we are almost done with the session, and let me tell you guys, Odisha, this is the first time we are conducting a session where you are hearing the living legends. Sir's huge experience. Independence purburu to dhariki independence पर एपर्यंत माने जन लिविंग लेजेंड को देखुचे, and तांकर जो ह्यूज एक्सपीरियंस, सर ऑलरेडी ओपीएससी चेयरमैन थिले, डिफरेंट यूएन सिस्टम रे भी थिले. तो आज जो हमें सुनिले केवल सिविल सर्विस प्रिपरेशन हुए थ्रू आउट लाइफ रे केमती गोटे गुड सिटीजन हवा, गुड सिविल सर्वेंट हवा, सेटा हमें डिफरेंट हमें तो इंटरव्यू तो दउचे, बट जे से जो माइंडसेट नै कि जीवा दरकार, गोटे सिविल सर्विस रो माइंडसेट गोटे निहाती रहिबा दरकार, एटीट्यूड गोटे हम भितर रहिबा दरकार. तो that is very much important जोटा हमें सार मान ठो अजी सुनिले different perspective हमें देखिले SN professor SN मिश्र सर भी view point देखिले कि जे केवल लुक्स उपरे नुहे you should have the knowledge, you should have the courage, you should have the confidence जेतबेले जाई कि जेतबेले हमें बसुचे जणे गोटे टेबुल आरपटे बसुचे just feel like you are the माने सिविल सर्वेंट जे कि फ्यूचर रे 10 दिन पर हबा को जाउची आउ तीन जण बसी छथि जे कि तुमको इंटरव्यू करछन जस्ट पुट योरसेल्फ इन दैट शू कि मु गोटे फ्यूचर सिविल सर्वेंट हबा को जाउची जदी गोटे एस्पिरेंट रो माइंडसेट नै कि जिबा विल फील लेस कॉन्फिडेंट हमको डर लागिबो जदी हमें गोटे सिविल सर्विस गोटे ऑफिसर रो माइंडसेट नै कि जिबा से कॉन्फिडेंस ऑटोमेटिक हम भीतर आसीबो तो इट इज अ ग्रेट प्लेजर कि वी हैव हर्ड दिस four living legend मु कहिबे जे एंड ओडिसा रे जो माने एस्पिरेंट
And 3 supporters.
yes sir okay sir okay sir for me all are sir legend because I saw like all are in their field exceptionally done well in the life
Nacho Tara gonna feature. One moon will outshine all the stars outside. Here is the moon.
And translating them to Latin, it says inter lunas luna minus, which means moon and the stars. But exactly this Sanskrit shloka we used to hear when we were students in the school. I'm sure. Are you students of Sanskrit or not?
Yes.
Are you? Yes.
So thank you so much all of us and जो हमें sir Kalinga IAS रा जो ता background रे I will take only 1 minute. The objective behind हम जो Kalinga IAS जेतला हम found करिथिलु sir we have started with 249 rupees only. So that year we have 62 students out of that 32 students got clear. Including sir Vikram sir I'll tell a story about this guy is actually doing photography in Samalai on Samalai photo उठौथिले केवल तांका स्टडी पे so now sir the second time third एटा second attempt जोडा कि हमरा इंटरव्यू दोछन so many students join okay so जो ड्रीम थिला हमरा जो माने कि to connect the unconnected तो जो मैंने रूरल एरिया रे रहउछंती जो माने कि भुवनेश्वर आसी कि हाई कोचिंग फी देई कि जॉइन करि परिबेनी जो माने हाउस वाइफ अछंती तो सेमान को केमिति हमें कोचिंग दवा तो तारी माने एम नहीं कि हमें स्टार्ट करिथलु नाउ Kalinga is one of the largest platform in ओडिशा जो थी कि ऑनलाइन ले हमें रूरल एरिया रे स्टूडेंट्स माने को कनेक्ट करि परिछु एंड जो माने हाउस वाइफ अछन जो माने वर्किंग प्रोफेशनल तो सेमान को कनेक्ट करि परिछु and we have in the last 3 attempts we have created 475 civil servants throughout the state in different service so we hope this year the number will be more we are expecting more than 400 students definitely crack this time so thank you guys thank you all of you those who have believed us and thank you sir for the session today it is a lifelong lesson for all of us sir before concluding so we have a small like token for you so let me sir start with
What did you?
No, sir.
I feel very embarrassed. Honestly, to the class. So thank you. Thank you very much. Giving me the bouquet of flowers. This was really not necessary for me, honestly. I feel really embarrassed. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Sir.
No.
We missed Mallar sir actually. We have also one for Mallar sir. We'll definitely send.
It will reach you. It will reach you.
I'll collect it later, Deepak. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you.
So they'll say that you have not got the.
Very good, very good. Excellent program. Congratulations, Deepak.
Thank you.
Great job. And you are doing too. All our best wishes with you.
Okay. Okay.
Very good.